When our focus is on the blessing, it is easy for the blessing to become an idol. And once that happens, it is easy for us to be discouraged. Hey family, welcome back to the channel. If you're seeing me for the first time, hey, my name is Sophia and it's so nice to have you here. And in this episode, I want to talk about the waiting season. The reason is because I believe that so many of us are currently in a place where we are waiting on God for something. We are expecting that God will visit us in a particular area of our lives. And that's why I want to share this word with you, because I believe that is going to help you to navigate this season properly. I've come to realize that the reason why we find this season very overwhelming and very difficult is because we lack understanding. We do not understand what this season is all about, and so it becomes very challenging. The waiting season is actually one of the hardest seasons of our lives, if we are being very honest, because you are put in a situation where you don't know what to expect and you don't know when what you're praying for would happen. You're just like you've been blindfolded and you're just walking by faith. It's different from going to a grocery store and standing on the queue, knowing that when you're getting there, you are gonna grab those bell peppers, you're gonna pay for it, you're gonna come out, expectations are met. So it's easy for you to have faith in that system than it is to have faith in God. And so that's why it can be very overwhelming, because when it comes to waiting on God, you don't know how, you don't know when. So it can be really challenging and daunting. I remember I was scrolling through TikTok the other day and I saw this lady. She was so devastated. She was crying. She said she's been praying, she's been waiting on God for a job and nothing seems to be happening. And I know that feeling because I've been there before. I've been in a situation where I was waiting on God for a job, and for a season it's like total silence, and I'm like, okay, God, this is not funny. So I know exactly what it feels like to be in that situation, and I know how, by the grace of God and by the mercy of God, how God helped me to navigate that season. And that's exactly why I'm sharing this video, to help you if you're currently in that same situation, to navigate the season properly so that it's not as overwhelming and as discouraging for you. Isaiah chapter 40 from verse 31 says, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run, they shall not be weary. They shall walk, they shall not faint." You see that it's talking about a process. It didn't say those that wait upon the things that the Lord will do, because the problem is that when we get to that place where we really want God to come through for us as fast as possible, we get so fixated on the things that we are asking God for that we forget that we are also meant to be seeking the face of God. And that's why we get so overwhelmed with discouragement when our expectations are not met as fast as we hoped. And in this video today, I want to talk to you about how to deal with discouragement during your waiting season. And here are 3 things that I need you to know. The first thing that I want to talk about is that waiting is a season of preparation. Waiting on God is a season of preparation. Most times we think that during this period nothing is happening. That's why you get stressed, like, God, I am praying, I am shaking the heavens. I know I watched a video of this guy saying that if God does not answer this December 31st prayer, I don't think there is any prayer again that he's going to answer. And this is just our emotions speaking, right? Because during this period, we think that it's about how loud we pray. No, that is not actually what moves God. This season is where God is more concerned about transforming you, is where you are becoming. This is what God is after. Because When we are waiting on God for something, be it a job or marriage, whatever it is at all, we focus more on what has not happened yet. So all our prayers is to move God to do the things that we want Him to do for us. But God is more concerned about who we are becoming in this process. Because as of the time that I was praying and like seeking God during that season of my life where I was trusting God for a job, I noticed that I would complain, super stressed, super agitated. I'm all over the place, overwhelmed, angry and everything. But during that season, the more I went to God in prayer, the more I was being changed. Like there was a process of transformation going on. It wasn't till after that entire situation that I recognized that, wait a minute, it's not that God did not hear me the very first that I prayed. It's just that there is someone that I have to become in order for this answered prayer to last in my hand. Hebrews chapter 4 from verse 15, it says, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet without sin." So He knows exactly what you're going through. He understands how difficult that situation is for you. So it's not by how much you are praying that's what will not push Him to do what you're asking for. No. What He's after is your heart. What He's after is who you are becoming in this process. Because most times we say, oh, but I've been praying and it's not been answering, like I said about the lady. But if you look within, there might just be things that you are doing unconsciously that might be hindering your prayers from being answered. Things like complaining, things like your lifestyle, things like the things that you're saying with your mouth, consciously or unconsciously. One thing I've realized is the power of the tongue. Oh God, the things that you say are so powerful. They can make you, they can break you. Life and death lies in the tongue. The Bible says that. So you might just be praying and be seeking God, but there are some things that have not been changed. If you go to the book of Esther, we are told about the story of Vashti and how the king had called her to come and showcase her beauty, and she was like, I'm not coming. Why did Vashti do that? It was familiarity. She thought that she could not be replaced. She was taking her answered prayers for granted because she didn't understand the weight it carried. And that's why sometimes our prayers are delayed, because we don't have the required amount of maturity to carry that answered prayer. We have not been transformed, we have not been changed. And so even when the answered prayer comes, you use your bad character and destroy it. So most times God just wants us to be transformed first. He's doing a work in us, and that work that He's doing in us is more important than what we are actually asking for. And this will lead me to my second point. And the second thing that would help us deal with discouragement is this: seek God first before the thing. I'm going to make a whole video about this, and I would really encourage you to kindly subscribe so you know when I post. But the reason I said this is because the Bible told us in the book of Matthew chapter 6 from verse 33, it said, "Seek ye first the kingdom, and every other thing shall be added." That shows that God knows exactly what is more important. Of course, He said that your heavenly Father knows exactly what you need before you ask, right? So He's not moved by your empty words. But then, where I'm going to is this: discouragement sets in because we have shifted our focus from God to the thing that we are asking Him for. When our focus is on the blessing, it is easy for the blessing to become an idol. And once that happens, it is easy for us to be discouraged. It is easy for us to find ourselves in a place where we are even doubting God, because it was never really about God in the first place. It was about the thing that we wanted to get from Him. But when you wait on God instead, not on the thing, your waiting season becomes a journey of growth. You recognize that you're serving God, you are worshiping God, you are reading your word, you're spending time with God, not because of what you want from Him, right? It becomes a relationship. If we go to the book of Psalm 27 from verse 4, David said, I want to dwell in your presence. Like, David got to the point where it wasn't even about what God was doing anymore. He said that I may dwell in your presence all the days of my life. That became his mantra. That became all he wanted in life. And we know that God always met his needs. God honored that. This also reminds me of the story of Esther. If we go to the book of Esther chapter 2 from verse 19, the Bible tells us how we know the story. Just to give it a little bit of context, her name was Hadassah before, and she stayed with her uncle because she was an orphan. That was also the period where Vashti had dishonored the king, and so she was thrown out of the palace, and now the king is looking for a new queen, someone that was fit for the throne. So there was this order to gather as many young women as possible to see who the king will take a liking on to be fit for the throne. And long story short, Esther was part of those girls. So immediately Esther came into the palace, it was said that Haggai, I hope I'm saying that right, took a special liking on her. She was not the most beautiful maiden there, though the Bible recognized that she was a pretty girl, but like she was obviously not the best. But the Bible said that Haggai took a liking on her, gave her special treatment, even gave her maids, had to give her a special chamber. She was just giving like unpaid soft life. She was just living her best life in that place. And it wasn't till later that we understood that it has been the hand of God all along. That was just divine positioning. How are you the only one that they are liking and they are giving all these things, and at the end of the day, still you that the king chose? See, she probably thought that, oh, maybe it's because I'm a fine girl. She didn't know that it was just God positioning her for a season that was ahead of her. So my main point here is that you might just be in a place where God is preparing you for the thing that you're actually seeking, but you're not recognizing it because you are so focused on the thing that you're asking for. And so you're not getting to know God more. You're not reading the word, you're not spending time with God, and by doing so you are actually delaying that prayer from being answered, because that is what this season is about. It's more about you and God more than the thing. There are prayers that I have thanked the Lord that he did not answer when I said them, because I was not prepared for it. And I know that so many of us can relate with that too. And so God might not be ignoring your prayers. It's just that you are currently in a season where you are getting prepared for that place, for that very thing that you're asking for. If it's marriage that you're asking God for, you might be in a season where God is taking you through a journey that would eventually attract the kind of person that he wants for you. But you're seeing it that, God is not listening to me. I've been delayed. Start making God your priority in this season, because that is what this season is for. The songwriter said, the more I know you, the more I want to know you. There are so many things that he wants to tell you. There are so many things that he wants to show you. There are so many things that he wants to reveal to you. But that can only happen when you know him. Esther had no idea why she was favored, why, everything was just in her favor. She never really understood that this was just God's positioning for a reason. Till eventually when, the Jews were supposed to be killed because she was a Jew. If you go to Esther chapter 4 from verse 14, Mordecai was now telling her, reminding her that, hey, have you not really thought about this? He said, who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? So who knows whether you are here, not because of your beauty, not because of anything, but because of this particular time. In other words, everything that you've been enjoying since, the special treatment, the massage, the shawarma that you have been eating, everything that they have been giving you, you have the best place in the palace, like all these things, they were not random. Who knows? Maybe that God allowed all this for a time like this. And this is something that is also happening in our lives, because when we are focused on the very thing that we're asking God for, just take for an instance, maybe a job or maybe marriage. Let's just use marriage. You forget about the other things that God has been doing in the background. When you sit down and look back, you might start realizing that God has been doing so many things for you. The opportunities that you've had so far, how far you've come, your spiritual growth, even mental growth, like the things that you've been able to accomplish. You are still alive. You're no longer where you used to be. All these things are huge transformation. These things are massive. But that's one thing about seeking the thing. When you are focused on the thing, you don't see what God has been doing all along. And so you don't recognize that God has been working even in your wait for the season that is ahead of you. And this is also why we get so discouraged, because we are so blinded by that very thing that we want. Oh God, I want this thing, I want this thing, I want this thing. All your tithing, all your offering, all the things you're doing for God is for that thing. And you forget to recognize all the things that He has done and what He's currently doing. So this will lead me to my third point. The third and final thing that you need to know in order for you not to feel discouraged in your waiting season is that it is okay to ask God for grace to keep believing. During these times, I know that we get too religious and we try to make it seem like, oh yeah, have faith. Sometimes faith is not easy. I know how daunting it feels when your needs are not being met, when you're seeing others and it's like your own life is not working. It can be very, very devastating and very discouraging. But you can ask God for grace. The Bible said, ask and you shall receive. The man that had the sick son, he said to Jesus, help my unbelief. I want to believe, but like, I know that you know that I don't believe. So please help me to believe. At the beginning of this video, I used an example of going to the grocery store. When you go to the grocery store and you're standing on a queue, you're waiting because you already know the outcome. So you're waiting there because you know you eventually get in, you get your whatever, your items, you pay for it, and you're out, right? But with God, it's not the same. Sometimes we don't know how it will be, we don't know when it will be, we don't know where it will be, and it can be so uncomfortable and so discouraging. But that's when you ask God for grace, because it's that uncertainty that make our waiting season emotionally heavy. It's like you're in a dark room and you don't even know what is where things are. You don't know what is going on around you. That's how it feels like when you're believing God or when you're waiting on God for something. But it can be easier when you ask God for grace. And so, to recap all that I've said, the first thing I mentioned is that waiting is a season of preparation. The second thing I mentioned is to seek God first before the thing. I didn't say you should not seek the thing. No, I said seek God first. The third thing that I said is to ask for grace to keep believing. And I want to encourage you, if you're currently waiting on God for anything, be it a job, be it marriage, a house, a child, whatever it is, your waiting season is not wasted. God is seeing you right where you are. I'm telling you, God is with you. I know this because I have been in a waiting season. I'm currently in a waiting season, and I know, in fact, that's when God is even closer to you than you can ever imagine. He's literally right there in that situation with you. He might be strengthening your faith, shaping your character, or preparing you for His divine purpose for your life. And just like Esther, you will come to a place where you realize that all the things that He let it happen in your life was never to punish you, but it was just preparing you, like Mordecai said in Esther chapter 4 from verse 14, for just a time like this. That thing you're asking for might just be too heavy, and you need to be calm in order to receive. So if you're waiting on God, I pray that your strength will be renewed through this video. I pray that God would come through for you. I pray that God will grant you your heart desires. But I also pray that you don't miss out on this season, that you enjoy all that God has for you in this season. Just like Esther, enjoy this season because this season will eventually change and it's going to be for the better. I hope this encouraged you. God bless you, family, and I'll see you my next one. Bye.